All right, it's time to start. Just in case, can you see and hear me and my screen? And can you hear my voice? Hello, can you hear me? Yes, finally, thank you. You want me to start? All right, all right. So let's get started. It's time to start, and I can see. Yeah, that's okay. Good. So we start our session offensive Azure security. Um, good, good. Looks like there's a delay between my questions and your answers. So we start our session. Thanks to our sponsors for all of this conference. Just because of them, we may be together. My name is Sergey. I will be your instructor or presenter for the next 45 minutes. Um, what I, what is interesting about me? I'm Russian, so that's why my sessions are most of the time they're about offensive things. And I also have some certifications like MVP, OSCP, MCT, and so on. And on this session, what you may expect is this. That's going to be our agenda. What the hell is that? So that's going to be our three type of workloads that we are going to compromise. In this session, 80 or even 90% of the time, you will see me compromising something, and somewhere in the end, I'm going to show you one slide with mitigations. But primary goal of this session and most of my sessions is to show you that like a dark side of all of those things. And so you may decide yourself, what should you do to make your company more protected, make your workloads more protected? So hopefully it will be obvious when after you see the actual attack demo. Also, kindly ask you to ask questions in the end of the session. So please keep your question till the end because this session will be very intensive, and I really want to fit everything into this 45 minutes. So please keep your questions till the end. I will reserve a few minutes to answer your questions. All right, so let's get started. First, our first type of the workloads that I'm going to show you that we can compromise. By the way, when we talk about compromise, I'm talking more about penetration test. So I'm not talking about some illegal things. So if you want to run the penetration test against your company, that's what you may do. And the first thing that you may do is to try to test your on-prem Active Directory that is integrated to the cloud, because that's a part of your hybrid company, your hybrid configuration. So you should start from Active Directory. So let's get started. Oh, sorry, no, that was a bad decision. Let me do it like this. Like this. So first of all, oh, give me one moment. I'm going to show you again the slide. So in next demo, I'm going to show you the infrastructure, simulate infrastructure, where I have Active Directory domain controller and AD Connect configured. And what possible problems you may find if you have this. So let me just switch to demo first. I think you know, and I already have AD Connect configured. I think you know. So when you configure AD Connect to synchronize your on-prem Active Directory to the cloud, your AD Connect will create a new account called something like MSOL 9CC04B and so on. So AD Connect will create this account like this. And this account will be used to access your Active Directory from AD Connect server. What is the problem about this, and what possible problem may be? The problem may be in permissions, because this AD depends on the things you want to do. The account may have different permissions. And very popular thing, and very recommended, by the way, is to have password hash synchronization. So when you take your password hashes from on-prem ID and synchronize them to the cloud, that's for failover purposes and to detect compromised credentials as well. So it's highly recommended to do that. But in that case, if you synchronize your hashes, the account will have this permission: replicate directory changes. And that's very really high privilege. Let me show you what may happen if what may happen. How can I find this privilege, and what may happen if somebody wants to use this privilege? So first of all, if I go to the properties of the main controller and I can go to security, I can find that this MSL account really has this privilege because I synchronize hashes to the cloud. But this account, it's like a black box. I don't know the password for this account. So Microsoft AD Connect didn't tell me a password. So it should be secure, isn't? Yeah, but AD Connect knows the password of this account. The interesting thing about this account is that the account and password stored in this database. So if you go to AD Connect data, you'll find a database. And this database, that's an AD Connect database, if you open that with SQL Management Studio and take a look on the table of private configuration XML, let me show you that in here. You will find one of the outputs here with account name and account password, but it says that account is encrypted. Yeah, that's encrypted. So you cannot just open the database and find out the real password. But this password may be decrypted if somebody has local admin permissions on this AD Connect server. And now let me show you what may happen. If I run the tool called AD Connect dump, and that shows me the password. That's the password of MS Oil account. So now I know the account name and the password. If somebody has the local admin permissions on AD Connect server, what I can do with those permissions if I have this account? Let me jump to another workstation, this time to client machine, and just run command prompt, even with local admin permissions. And now let's try to run dir //AD Connect -dc1 $, means that's a root drive of the main controller, and it says access denied. So I don't have access to the main controller root because I'm a regular user, maybe with local admin permissions, but not really the main admin. Now let's try something else. Let's run as a different user. And this time, I'm going to take these credentials of MSL account and the password. And then I just want to go to a tool called Mimikatz, and run command lsa dump dc sync /user trainer, who is the main admin. And now I have the hash of this user. So that's the user hash. What I can do with this hash, if I copy this hash, I open Mimikatz again, this time with local admin permissions, and say privilege debug, and secure, let's say, ETH, which is pass the hash, and the username is trainer, and the domain name is camtoza.com, which is my domain, and the hash NTLM, which is the hash. And let's take a look again. So I'm going to copy, not this one. I'm going to copy this, paste here, and here I'm the domain admin. So it means I can see the root drive of the domain controller. So that means I'm a domain admin. That is because some user has local admin permissions on the AD Connect server. I will give you recommendations later on, but just keep in mind that's pretty dangerous if we allow it. So here we have once again we have three environments. First environment is on-prem environment. I want to cover it briefly. So this environment now compromised. Now I have domain admin credentials in this environment. And next environment is going to be an Azure Virtual Machines. By the way, if something is not clear, let me know, because I ask you to post questions in the end of the session. But if things that I show not super clear, let me know, because I built all on the live demos and it's quite dynamic. If it's too fast, let me know. So we compromised the on-prem environment, on-prem Active Directory, because of the AD Connect. And now let's take a look on Azure Virtual Machines, what we can do with them. How my virtual machines will look like. My virtual machines. I have Jenkins. Sorry. I have Jenkins in the cloud deployed on 2 nodes. So it's going to be master node on Windows and slave node on Linux. So 2 nodes where I have Jenkins installed. My goal is to compromise those 2 virtual machines when they are deployed in Azure, this time in Azure. Let me show you how can I do that. So first of all, if I want to compromise virtual machines, anything that deployed in Azure, somehow I need to have access to Azure. At this moment, I already have permissions. To in on-prem AD. So I already compromised the on-prem AD. Let's see if I can use my existing permissions in on-prem AD to access the cloud. Let me go back to the demo. So now I'm a domain admin. Literally, it means I can connect to any workstation. Generally speaking, connect to any workstation. Let's close this. What I can do, I can connect to the workstation of IT professionals or developers. And those guys, they quite often use the tool called AZCLI. I think you heard about that. I heard you heard about this tool, AZCLI. And let me just run that. And look at this. So when I run this AZ account list, it shows me my subscriptions. If I go to another machine, let me open the command prompt on a different machine and type the same AZ account list. Come on. Tell me that you don't want to show anything. That's odd. Oh, finally. Thank you. So it says you need to log in if you want to list your account. So on this machine, I'm not authenticated. So now, let me just open one of the folders. Now, let me go back to the previous machine where I was authenticated. So let's imagine, because I'm a domain admin, I can connect to any machine. So I can connect to this machine, this one, where user is authenticated and when user is run AZCLI. What I can do, when user logs in to CLI, the credentials will be cached in this folder. user profile, and the folder .azure. If I take this folder, let me take this folder, exclude one file, and zip it, take the archive, and copy this archive to another workstation where I don't have permissions. Unzip it here to that Azure folder. And let's try again. Fingers crossed. Yay. Now I do have access to the cloud. So because I had access to one of the on-prem machines, I just took the safe credentials from the admin machine, from developer machine. I copied that to my workstation, and now I can run commands in the cloud. All right, let's continue with that. So our goal, once again, is to compromise the virtual machine. All right. If I want to compromise the machine, the virtual machines, first I need to see what machines do I have. So let me just run command azvm list table. Oh yeah, it is. So let me run this. Yeah, so now I can see the virtual machines, and there are machines that I need: Jenkins master and Jenkins slave. So next command I want to run is, oh, by the way, I want to connect the virtual machine, but the problem is I need to know the password, username and password, which I don't know, because virtual machine probably has its own username, its own password. I don't know them. How can I get them, or how can I do it without password? Let me jump to Azure interface and show you how it may be done from interface, and then I'm going to run my attack. So if I go to virtual machine, the Windows or Linux, and scroll a bit down here in the portal, you may find run commands. So this feature, run command, allows me to run command, run PowerShell script, or Bash script, depends on the version of operating system. I mean, depends on the operating system of Linux or Windows. So I can run any command inside the virtual machine. So if you click there, you may find execute PowerShell script for Windows or execute Bash script for Linux. All right, so let me execute scripts I want. And in parallel, I want to establish what's called listener. And so I will not compromise the actual username. I want to get a shell to the machine without password. So let's do it real quick. For this, I'm going to execute the command on Linux. So it's going to be slave. And in parallel, do the same for Windows. For Windows, by the way, it should be executed longer. So, and now let's just wait. Oh, here we go. That's from Linux. And now I have control over Linux environment. And I'm on Linux machine. And Windows, oh yeah, I do have Windows as well. So let's see, that's Windows. Let's go back. Because it's Jenkins, I think I have all the ports closed, but let's go to program files, C program files, C program files. I guess Jenkins is there. Yeah, it's there. Jenkins. And what I can see here, there's a error log. If I say type error log, come on, give me that. It should show me the default password somewhere here. Oh, now it's a bit more errors look like this. So now I have lots of stuff over. Oh, here we go. So here's the default password from Jenkins. So please use this password if you want to proceed. So that's from Jenkins, and I can log into Jenkins if I need, of course. But generally speaking, I'm a local admin. Let me type, who am I? Who am I? I'm an NT authority system on those virtual machines. So I'm a god on those two VMs. So here I'm system, and on Linux, I'm root. All right. So, and we here, and we here compromised the virtual machines. All right, and now it's time to play with the last and the biggest type of the asset that we have in the cloud, which is web application with SQL Server. So here I have application, and that's an app service with SQL database, app service behind our web application firewall, WAF. Also, when app service wants to connect to the database, it doesn't store the credentials right in the database, on the web application. The credentials are stored in the key vault, and so if app service wants to connect this to the backend, it needs to go do it from the key vault. So that shouldn't be super simple. Shouldn't be. So let's take a look on this. Probably, web application itself is stateless, so I don't really need. Maybe I need, but at this moment I think that backend database will be more interesting because web application is stateless. There's nothing there. Yeah, I can change the layout of the web page, but that's it. There's no data. No data there. If I want to get something, I should find a way to connect to the database. So let's try to do that. So I want to connect to the database. Database. How can I do that? So if I want to connect to the database, probably I need to know the username and password if I want to connect. And this username and password, they are used by web application, but they are stored in the key vault. They are stored in the key vault. So let me jump to the portal and show you how it looks like. So I'm going to my key vault, and this is going to be the key vault where I have secret. So there is the two secrets here: password and username. Now I see them because I'm administrator here. I'm in this policy in the key vault. I have the permission. Let me remove myself from this and click save. So let's imagine this user doesn't have permissions to see the secrets. Only application has permissions to see that. Let's refresh. Yeah, now I don't have access and I cannot see the secrets. So those credentials that I need to connect to the database, I don't have access to them. All right, let's try to find an access. And to find an access, I want to remind you one thing. It's recommended when you have a key vault and you store secrets there, you should rotate secrets periodically. So you shouldn't store that. So you shouldn't have the same values always. You should periodically rotate them. And for their rotation, we use, and it's recommended from Microsoft, by the way, that's a screenshot from Microsoft website. We use Azure Functions. So there are some triggers, maybe HTTP trigger, maybe some events on event grid, and based on the event, it triggers the function. Function rotates the secrets inside of the key vault and modify them in our database. So what does it mean? It means that function has access to key vault. And if I have access to the function, so when defenders, when they configure the access, they protect the key vault, but they did not protect the function that rotates the key. And if I have access to this function, let's see what we can do with that. So I'm going to jump to demo again, first let me show you a portal. If I go to this function and I create a function for key rotation, go to functions. If you just run it just right from the GitHub, from Microsoft GitHub, you will find you will have function up with two functions. First one is rotation with event grid trigger, and another one with HTTP trigger. For our purposes, HTTP will be more simple to demonstrate, so I'm going to use this one. Let me go to the function. And if I open the code of the function, so if I open the code of the function, I will find that function is in PowerShell, and you can find the structure of the function. It will be JSON file with just regular configuration, just general configuration of the function. It will be PowerShell script that really rotates all of those keys. And that's a script that we have from Microsoft, and sample.files with some samples, what we can send to the function. So that's a visual part just for you to understand how it looks like. Now, the actual attack, what I can do. The actual attack will be made. Let me go slightly back. If I add my own script to this function, and it will execute my own script. So let me show you what I mean here. If I go to Overview, I can see that. Let me go to Deployment Center. I can see that there is a FTP credentials. The reason is functions, they are based on the app service. And so all the features that app service has, functions also have. And app service by default has access via FTP. Let me try to get this FTP access. So I'm going to copy the, first let me copy this one. And terminate that. So let me run this. And fingers crossed. Oh, and here's the FTP address of the function. Let's try something else. So I have FTP address, and now let's begin. And now I have username and password. So that's a username and password to connect via FTP. I already made the connection just for the sake of time. And here I connected. And here's the structure of function if you connect from FTP. And here's my function. Here's my function. And the default is run.ps1. So what I did, I renamed the original one to ps1 and add my own run.ps1. So this one is my own. And now, if I run the function, it should execute not the regular function that company expect. It should execute my own function. So let me try to do it. And this my own function will take data from the key vault. Let me do it real quick. So I'm gonna run PowerShell. Fingers crossed again. Hopefully. Not quick. What I can do, just for you, I can go to function and that's it. So look at this. So it took username which is web app, and the password is password from the key vault. So the function took. So I cannot read the secrets, but function could read the secrets. And now I can take those values and connect to SQL Server. Let's try to do that. I'm gonna open my SQL Management Studio. and try to connect. So it looks like I have 15 minutes left, so we should move on. Move on quickly. Come on. All right, so let's try to do it from here. So there's my SQL Server name, and let's do it from here first. All right, from here. Let me take the name, which is web app, and the password, which is password. I think it's faster to just type it. Look at this. And now I connected, and I can see the values inside of the inside here. So I connected. If I try to do this, by the way, from the different server, PHPDB, connect, copy this from the different server. I may not be so lucky because it should tell me, yeah, firewall. So now let me show you the SQL Server configuration. SQL Server, where is that? SQL databases, PHPDB. So if I look in the configurations, it shows me that this SQL has the firewall. So not every single address may connect, but there's a very popular configurations to allow connectivity from all Azure services, from any Azure service. If you have it enabled, yes, it means that anyone, not only your subscription, but anyone from any Azure virtual machine may connect to your SQL. If you say yes here, then attacker may deploy the virtual machine in Azure and can connect to your SQL, even if this VM not in your subscription. So it means any address, any Azure address. So let me change that behavior. Let me say I want to deny public access. So now this access to the SQL will be available only from only using private endpoint. So now no public access, not at all. Let's try again. Let's try to reconnect from my Azure VM. Let's try to connect again. So let's say disconnect here. Connect again. Type password. Yeah, doesn't work anymore. All right, can we do something with that when we have? Let me just show you again. So now we have SQL. This SQL, and we have credentials. But SQL only work from inside using private endpoint. No public access. Can we do anything with that? What we can do, we can connect now to web application and connect then and run query to the SQL from web application, because web application is allowed to connect to the SQL. So let's do it. Let's do that. I'm gonna go back to my this time. Let's go and let's just explore the web application, the web app. Come on. And that's just simple web application. If I say I want to add information to the database, yeah, you are registered, but nothing more. But I can see this. That's a PHP application. Let me try to play a bit with the application. But because I already have access on via CLI, what if I try to do the same? What if I try to connect via FTP to this application? And that's what I see if I connect through FTP. So that's an index page. What I can do next, I can upload my files, and that's going to be my shell. And now let's type my shell.php. Look at this. I have access to this application like inside of the application. So I look inside. Of course, if I have permissions to run SSH, it's going to be even better, but let's imagine I don't. So now I have access to the actual machine where the application is running. with web shell. Let me establish the new shell to let me add more interactive shell. Let me just get a new shell. This one. And now what I can do, I can connect to the database right from here. But let me first check my permissions. My permissions is just data user, so it's a user to run actual web server. So it's not a privileged user. I can't install anything on this machine at this moment. So I can't install anything. That's important. So if I want to connect to the SQL Server, I need a tool to connect. There's a very famous tool you may find on the web, MS SQL CLI, I think that's SQL CLI, but I need to install that. I don't have permissions to do it. So I need to try something else. And for this, I'm going to use another tool that I can run without installation. You may find also on the GitHub. It's called uSQL. uSQL GitHub. And if you want to try it in the in your app service, you should download the older version because app service will not work with the newest version. So let me upload this tool to here. Let me upload this tool and connect to the database with this tool. Fingers crossed. Looks like I connected. Let's take a look. Let's run the query /q. Oh, sorry, my bad. /q. That's exit. /g. It means go. Let's try again. So I'm gonna run the query and /g. Output is not super interesting, not super nice, and I should see the table. Yeah, it's called PHPDB. So I can see PHPDB, and the table name is registration TBL. All right, let me try to get data from this table. /g. And now I can see what's inside of the table. Now I own the database. Yay! Yay! So now I own the database. By the way, you may slowly start to ask questions because I have only one demo left. Is Web Application Firewall. We didn't touch that because the application itself may have vulnerabilities. And let me show you what if somebody tries to attack your application from outside. And let me go to application. Oh, where is that? Oh, let's go there. You saw if I send the application the normal data, it should give me it should add the data to the database. But what if I send something like this? So try to drop the table. Let's click submit. And we can see that application now gives me what's called error-based injection. So it gives me an exception. And now I can see the internal structure, which is the table name, which is the path to the actual page. So now I can see some internal things, that's SQL injection. What if I want to protect my application from that? For this, I can run Web Application Firewall. When I try to do the same against Web Application Firewall, look at this. It says, hey, access denied. You cannot do it. So it filters all of the inputs. And if I try to do it, it will just block me. Let me show you one thing. If I run the another injection and try 12, it shows what is the actual firewall, what is the name of the firewall. So Microsoft use Mod Security, which is open source firewall, WAF firewall, but they run their own custom rules. What I did against this firewall, I run the test and try to send different ways to bypass the firewall, and here's the result. All no's. All no's. So that's pretty hard to bypass this firewall. All right. I think I have 5 minutes, so I can give you some recommendations. And if you have questions, let me know, because I'm not sure if the questions are here. No. If you have any questions, let me know, because we have 5 more minutes. All right. All right. Mitigations. What should you do to mitigate that behavior? First of all, I think I left one of the cells empty, or I didn't click save. So if you don't want to compromise your AD Forest account, your AD Connect should be tier 0. It means only the main admins should access AD Connect. AD Connect equals the main admin from security standpoint, and always use principle of least privileges. What if you want to avoid stealing of hashes? Also, principle of least privileges, you shouldn't give all the permissions to one account, and also use workstations, privileged access workstations that are protected even from the main admin. Next one, run command against Azure virtual machines. That's again principle of least privileges. So do not allow this. Don't give this permission to everyone. Then shell upload and function modification. Disable FTP. I saw nobody use FTP in production. So you always use how it's called, continuous deployment from GitHub for whatever. But at the same time, FTP is still open, still enabled. Don't do that. I missed something here. I don't know what it was here. Looks like I didn't click save. And if I want to protect your application from web attacks, that's a web application firewall. All right. So if you want to join, those sessions, by the way, will be repeated if you miss some of the piece of this session. This session I will repeat on Thursday. So you may join on Thursday. Also, next year I will repeat the session on the Scottish Summit, and you may also watch some other of my sessions about Defender ATP, about Kubernetes. That's here you might see on the slides what will happen, but what will be also I don't know. So you may find me on LinkedIn, and I usually announce conference where I speak. All right, now let me take a look on the questions. I can see only one. So regarding to Azure user that I stolen from the virtual machine, was it load privileged user? Any user can run remote commands on the machine or need to be a local admin on this machine? No, you don't need to be a local admin. In my case, it was the user. So if you go to the virtual machine itself, and you go to access control and go to roles there, let me take a role owner. Let's take owner. And click permissions and find here compute. Where's compute? Microsoft Compute, I guess. Microsoft Azure Compute. Yeah. So if you go to compute here, you may find a run command will be somewhere here. So run commands. So you allow or not allow that on the Azure level. So that will be allowed on the account level. It doesn't mean that you don't have to be local admin inside of the virtual machine. No, that's the configuration of the actual roles on the Azure level. So if you delegate this permission to some of the users, and doesn't matter who this user are, maybe that's a regular user, but with this permission, then you can run this command. Thank you. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm happy that you like that. We have 1 more minute left. If any other questions, let me know. If not, thank you very much for your participation. That was my pleasure to work with you. Once again, this session will be repeated in another conference next week. If you want to see it again, if you missed some of the pieces, or anyway, you may find me on LinkedIn, and you'll just see that about other things that I'm talking. All right. Thank you very much. and hope you enjoy the conference, and hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Oh, by the way, I think there was some evaluations about this, about like some feedback. Feel free to feel the feedback. Um, oh, what is the tool to decrypt SQL pass? Uh, what is the behind the curtain? I don't know. I don't want to see that. So, what is the tool to behind the SQL to decrypt the SQL pass? From Key Vault, that was my PowerShell script. That script I made my own. So that just a PowerShell script. It's not a tool. Let me find out. So AKV rotation, functions, rotation, code. If you ask about this, that's my script that I made myself. I just use PowerShell to get that. The key idea here that this function has access, and then with PowerShell you just extract that. So it's just a PowerShell script. If you ask about this, if you ask about the account for AD Connect, then this tool called AD Connect dump. You may find that on the GitHub, AD Connect dump. So I hope I answer all of that questions. All right, then once again, thank you. Bye bye.